You may be surprised to know that for most of my life so far, I have swam in an overwhelming feeling of inferiority. My attitudes and self-image have been so profoundly negative. I was absolutely certain that most people were smarter than me, they were better looking than me, and more athletic than me. And looking back, I realized most of what I believed about myself wasn't really rational. I got A's, I was a competitive athlete, and I had girlfriends. Sexy girlfriends. But even then, I almost drowned in the pool of my own self-loathing. I remember at 13 years old, I competed at the national level of trampoline. Out of over 50 kids, most of them many years older than I was, I finished 9th place in Canada. By a show of hands, thank you. How many of you would agree that that's an impressive accomplishment? Well, you know what? I hated myself for what I thought represented a miserable personal failure. I said to myself, I'm just no fucking good. I will never be on their level. I beat myself up so badly for that 9th place finish that I quit the sport forever. I sunk deeper. I started spending a lot of time alone and abusing drugs. Sleeping in, smoking weed, and skipping class became my pattern. I fell into a deep feeling of depression and persistent anxiety. But tonight is about transformation. And I am no longer that guy. I used to be afraid to share my story. I used to think people would look at me and they would say, that's it? A competitive athlete lost and had some negative self-talk? Boo-hoo, man. Give me a break. But the same person that inspired me to share my story tonight said to me, Jonathan, this isn't about you. You don't know who your story will resonate with. You don't know who's going through the exact same thing in this very moment. So for those of you tonight that personally know the depth of the hole that I was in, I wish I could say there was one defining moment that changed everything. But we all know that enduring change doesn't happen in a moment. It takes time. The best advice that I ever got was at 18 years old, through the headphones of my iPod, the guru Jim Rohn shared to me. He said, you cannot change the destination of your life overnight, but you can change your direction. Let me repeat that one more time. He said, you cannot change the destination of your life overnight, but you can change your direction. It took me years to rewire my brain, years for me to realize that my saving grace would be when I decided to be more like Frankenstein. When I decided to turn the envy that I felt when I looked at others and to turn it into inspiration. And for those of you that are looking at me wondering if you heard me correctly, yes, I said like Frankenstein, the monster made up of other people's body parts. To me, being like Frankenstein meant I didn't have to look at other people and see them as better than me. But instead, I could pick, and I could choose, and I could take all of the characteristics that I admired and I appreciated about people, and I could blend them into my own character. It was so simple. It meant that I could just borrow my confidence from my dad, and that I could take the love that I feel for myself now from my sister, and that I could be inspired to be more giving like my mother. Jim Rohn also said that you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. So I started to relentlessly seek out the best people and the best communities to be a part of. Communities like this one. Today, at 21 years old, I am part of one of the richest communities in Toronto. A community of public speakers, of bold dreamers, and of grand achievers. You all have given me the greatest gift. The gift to weave what makes all of you so great into the fabric of who I am. You tonight are all part of my story of transformation. And because of you, when I decided to take Jim Rohn's advice, when I decided to turn the envy that I felt when I looked at others and to turn it into inspiration, when I decided to be more like Frankenstein, I didn't change the destination of my life overnight, but I quickly changed my direction.